Carol Ann Bond was a married microbiologist that discovered her best friend was pregnant with her husband's baby. Carol soon got revenge on them by smearing phenolphthalein and dichromate on her ex-best friend's mailbox, car handle, and house doorknob. Carol's lawyer, Paul Clement, was able to get the case taken all the way to Supreme Court twice because he pled that federal court didn't have the power to deal with the case because of the 10th Amendment, which deals with the 1933 Convention of the Prohibition of Development, Production, Stockpiling, and Use of Chemical Weapons, and on their destruction, which got her 6 years in prison. Meanwhile, many of the justices did seem skeptical about Bond's prosecution under the law implementing the chemical weapons ban. Justice Ginsburg noticed the irony that while Clement and his conservative supporters were arguing that the federal government's prosecution of Bond under the federal chemical weapons law trenches on state authority, the woman Bond tried to injure in this case repeatedly went to the local authorities who refused to help her. It wasn't until she turned to the federal government that she received any assistance. So even if the federal prosecutor may have been overzealous in this case, many argued the case as a domestic dispute. Justice Sotomayor placed the case into context by noting that the United States had recently been heavily critical of Syria's use of chemical weapons and expressed concern that it might undermine our national interest in foreign relations if the court invalidated legislation implementing prohibition on chemical weapons. One of the questions that Justice Sotomayor asked Clement that raised eyebrows was, why isn't the international burning, killing of another human being using chemical the essence of what this treaty is trying to stop? Questions were raised of if the case would be different if someone would have died or if the baby would have been seriously injured or died. Another question was if her ex-friend was more severely injured and had more than a mildly injured thumb, would the case be more serious? It seems the court might find a way to avoid some of the deeper constitutional questions by accepting Bond's argument that the law implementing the chemical weapons when they are used for other than a peaceful purpose. Clements argued the context of the treaty, saying this language excludes a malicious use of chemicals that is based on a personal vendetta as opposed to a warlike deployment of chemical weapons.